go. Okay, so the title of my book is Have a Look in the Glass. I painstakingly put it together for years because I always wanted to have something that I could actually go from. And for years I traveled with the men's basketball team. Was one reason to have something. You know, I could have something and you'd say, you know, go to page 59 and let's do this activity together. So you could have personal assignments that had some paper to it. So it wasn't, everything wasn't, you know, just off the top of your head. And so typically mental toughness is the topic at hand. And so that's the topic of our start here, and that's why we have you write about it, is what do you think it is? And I can tell you, of course, what I think it is, and then we can go from there. But all our activities that you're going to do and have, you always want to come back to those, what you wrote, right? So what is it that you wrote and what you think about it, so then you can take that with you. Because there's probably nothing worse than taking somebody else's definition and then trying to make it your own, when it's not. Because I've read so far all of your definitions and not one of them was like mine, you know, and that's a good thing. So I have my opinion, you have your opinion, and then we're going to move forward, especially when we get to those, our great times, is to move forward, to look at how those things pair up or don't pair up. And so I first want to tell you what the myths are in my mind. There's two of them. Number one is mental toughness is not a heroic action. And I think that's a real big misconception. So the idea that if somebody attacked one of my children at the park, I would run that person down. I would run them down, right? Nothing mentally tough about that. It's just your reaction to something like that. If one of somebody in my family or somebody in this room, we walked out, you get hit by a car, you're laying underneath it, somebody is going to pick up that car and get you out. So that's, yeah. Not sure it's me, but somebody is going to get that. That's heroic, right? And so the media plays up mental toughness in such a way that I believe that people think they have to be heroic all the time. There are people who do heroic things often because they're on ESPN a lot. So it feels like that's always the way it is. And I don't think that's the way it is at all. And so myth 2 follows myth 1. Thus that mental toughness equates to always being the hero. So always hitting the big putt, always hitting the home run when it's a 3-2 count. That's the classic story. It's 3-2, bottom of the ninth. Somebody's got to get a hit. Usually it's a home run is the mythical story. And then Johnny hits it, or if it's ponytail softball, then Susie hits it, right? And everybody believes that that's how it always works, you know, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. And so if you take this to any other segment of the world, which you might, right? So if it is in the business world, then if this is a business type of notion, then it's a notion that we all would have to always seal the deal and make money every day. And then again, that's not true. It's not about that as the only way to be mentally tough. Right? And so when you're out there in the real world, there is more to it. And so my definition, the first part, is simply doing the right thing at the right time. And that subsumes a lot of other definitions, right? A lot of other thoughts about encouraging your teammates, or setting a screen, or helping somebody out at the time, or you taking the big shot. It assumes all of it because there's a right moment to do everything. And so when you're out there yourself, or if you're out there consulting, it's trying to get that across, because somebody has to sit on the bench, right? So there's a right time and a right place for somebody to sit on the bench, and that's never fun. That is never a fun thing to somehow accept personally that that has to be you. Right? And so it works that way in every part of life. The right time, the right thing at the right moment. As a parent, is to not say anything sometimes, right? Sometimes it's to say a lot, and other times it's not to say anything. And so there is a lot of life skills involved in this concept of mental toughness, I think. And so second would be, I think because when we get into more of these little short bits, I was always a nervous person. Always. If you had 3318, you read a story about this Robert Frost. When you said that, Blaine, in your thing, I thought, oh, how did Blaine, did I post that? Oh, I didn't post that. Did Paul post my story? But of being very, very nervous. Right? So when you're very, very nervous, then you think that there's a lot of negativity out there in the world. And most of it comes from within. Right? But it's such a big world that you have to be able to withstand negativity in any form, to be able to keep moving on, to keep doing your deal, and being very successful at it means that you have to somehow be able to put up the horse blinders when you run the Kentucky Derby and not feel that pressure. But it becomes very difficult when it comes from within, because it's a tough, because you can't, right? Where do you cut it off at? So do I put a sleeve through my brain to cut it off so it doesn't go down? But then if I do that, then I can't make decisions, other good decisions. And so the pressure from within typically is worse than the pressure from the outside world. And so the last part is that it is a skill set, and that's the best part of it, right? The best part is you can enthuse somebody and teach somebody to learn this new skill. But the problem is, at least from my opinion, it is very true that it's because of our genetic makeup, which we'll talk about. For some people, it just comes more readily, right? There's a lot of things that happen in people's lives that they're born with, or genetics / the environment has helped them become this mentally tough person that people look up to, right? Some of it's just opportunity, right? There's more opportunity for a 7-footer to play professional basketball than there is for someone who's 5'8". And so whether if I was as mentally tough as the other person who's really, really tall, or that person's not as mentally as tough, they're going to seem, right? Because you see them on TV, we're adults. I don't think we look up to them per se. We look up maybe this way, but it's not like it's your hero. Well, Abe Lincoln's a hero. I don't know of a professional athlete that I would say, oh, that's my hero. So children say that type of stuff. But there's certain people that it seems easier to come to than others. The reason why we go to these great times, and so we all are going to post these, we all have posted them, or you're going to relook at these, is to figure out how to learn this skill of being mentally tough, whatever that means. Right, so no matter who you're talking to or how we're doing this, mental toughness can be these other things. It could just be talking about any other desired state of being healthy. Right? And so how do you become healthy? How do you become happy? How do you become whatever successful is defined to you? Well, you gotta write down some things to learn from. Because if I write down great times, right, that's the first thing I need to do is write them down. One of the best skills that I know for golf is simply when somebody picks up a club that they remember a good time with that club. If you pick up a club and you remember a bad time, you're probably going to have another bad time, right? So the most important thing we can all do to enthuse ourselves for whatever we view success is to write down those great things. It's really important to do. When I taught introductory to psychology many years ago, there was a stat in the book that we had, everybody has a negative thought that comes into their brain or is processed in the brain. You have more than one a second. And so it becomes gazillions, right? Gazillions of negativity. Gazillions and gazillions and gazillions of these things, because it was like it was 0.7 of a second a new one came in. Right? And so most likely right now we're not having those. But it's because we had those moments for an hour that all we are is negative. So you're having one every 1/10 of a second. And it just explodes on you. So we want to remember great times. And I'm not about remembering bad times. And then we want to find out the pattern. And so in your writings, and then in my writings, we're going to highlight exactly the pattern. And so that we can figure out how we got to that, so then we can repeat it more than once. And that's the key. It's the whole key to this mental toughness or be happy or be successful thing, is figuring out the pattern so you can just repeat it. And most people don't. They leave it up to luck. And so, last, and if we do it enough, then we can find the exact pattern how you get there. And that's a great thing to do, because as we'll find out is that it's true. Say this, everybody trains. Let's talk about sports. Everybody trains. It can't be training that makes a difference. It can't, because everybody does it. So you go into a game, somebody wins, somebody loses, but everybody trained. If it's, everybody had a training table, everybody had 5 a.m. lifts, everybody has 9 different varieties of Cliff Bars to choose from all day long, everybody has 32 different types of chocolate milks for recovery drinks or whatever they drink. Everybody has it. So there's stuff you have to do to level the playing field, but then there's the many things that happen so fast that actually determine the real outcome, and those are the things that we want to find out. And then thus, once we do that, we can learn from it, and I really believe in that. I truly believe that we can learn from those little things, and everybody can make it better. So I put down my examples, and we all, if you read them, you could read them. You don't, want to read them. But so I'll do mine quickly, just to, because I'll have to choose one. We'll all have to choose one of ours to kind of go with at the start. It's something we're going to choose from. And all 3, I wrote my 3, the 3 that I wrote, because they were all different. Yet they have some similar antecedents, but I wanted, they're very different in what the experience was. So the first one was a calculus exam. I know some of you